Good morning, YouTube. Ringo here with the next installment of my gear. This video is going to go over my pack, the Arc Haul, Zpacks Arc Haul. I'm separating this one out from my big 3 video. I'm just going to do a video just about my pack because I think it's important. I wish I'd had a good review of it when I bought it. So I'm going to try to be fair to Zpacks. Let you know where things were my fault, what I did wrong, and then we'll kind of go from there. But most of you know, throughout my entire hike, I had a love-hate relationship with this pack. This is the Zpacks Arc Haul. There's good things about it, and there's bad things about it. My issues, so let's start at the beginning. My issue in the beginning was the pack, it hurt my back. I started to get a pain in between my shoulder blades that was just, by the end of the day, it was unbearable. No matter what I could do, what I did, I couldn't adjust my pack properly to get it to get that to go away. So I did realize that it was probably my hip belt that was to blame. So I had a hip belt that was not that was too big for me, so I couldn't cinch it down enough. So I'll rack that up as my fault. Once I did get a better or I did get a smaller waist belt, it helped with that, and eventually that did go away. So my advice to anyone who's going to use this pack for a through hike is to understand that you're going to lose a lot of weight. In the first 30 days, I lost almost 30 pounds. So you're going to lose weight rapidly when you're doing a through hike, and you need to take that into account when you get your belt. So buy one that that you can shrink in and still have room to cinch it down properly. So the biggest problem I had with my pack is that all of the straps on this pack, they moved. They were stripped. Not stripped. They slipped. That was the biggest issue I had. And the worst ones were the load lifters. And I know it's tough to see, so I'll try to put this here. So these are the load lifters. They sit on top of your pack, on top of your shoulder straps. And these just help you to cinch your load down so that it's not swinging around on your back. And that helps going uphill and then going downhill. So really all throughout the day, you're kind of adjusting these. You're pulling them in and you're letting them out just based off of the terrain and based off of the load that you're carrying. So, but for me, they slipped so bad I couldn't do that. I ended up having to tie them in a knot. So it made the load lifters just completely useless on this pack. And anyone who's done any kind of long distance hiking knows your load lifters are a very important part of your pack. And for me, at least, I adjusted them, throughout the day based on different scenarios. So that was what made things very frustrating in the beginning. Very frustrating, having to keep cinching them tight, and this left one would always slip before the right one, so then my pack would be off balance and it would hurt my back. So really, the whole hike I fought with these load lifters. The whole hike I fought with them. Those of you remember in the beginning, the first 2 weeks, it rained constantly, so that just once these get wet, it made it even worse. So the other issue I had was with the sternum strap, and it was not with the strapping, it was actually with the buckle. I noticed when I had a full food bag or when my pack was at its heaviest, and understand my pack at its heaviest was usually 26 pounds, 27 pounds at most, and that was with a full food bag and full water bottles. But it would slip and it would pop out, and I would have to keep adjusting it. So that was another big issue that I had with the pack. It was annoying, and that was the biggest thing about this pack is just everything that was slipping and wasn't working was just extremely annoying. It was extremely frustrating throughout the day. It also put a strain on my back, on my shoulders especially. So the other issue I had, and I don't know if you can see this is the mesh backing for the Arc Haul suspension system. This is what actually takes this pack, and you can see it's kind of bent right here. That bending is the arc in it, all right? So this right here, this mesh backing is actually what makes that arc. And that arc is nice because it allows airflow to get through here, and it keeps your back from being as hot and sweaty as some of the other packs. But again, this is something that, needs to be adjusted from time to time. And I could not do that because I had to tie all four corners. This one, this one, this one, and this one in knots because it kept slipping and the arc kept coming out of my pack. And it would be, maybe it wouldn't be so bad if they all came out at an even rate, but they didn't. And then next thing you know, my pack is all twisted up on my back. And again, it was very uncomfortable. So, the other issue that I had, and this was at the end of my hike, so this was in the 100-mile wilderness. This pack actually, one of these horizontal stays actually failed, and it was the one for the hip belt. So my hip belt actually came unattached from my pack, and the stay broke. So what I had to do was take the middle one and put it down here, and then put the broken one in the middle because that's where you need it the least. At least that's what I determined. And it made for, getting through the 100-mile wilderness, and then the rest of the way, uncomfortable. So I was upset with the fact that it failed. So having said that, one of the big things that I have to own up to is that I am harder on my gear, and I knew that I'm harder on my gear. That's why I went with the Arc Haul instead of the Arc Blast, because the Arc Blast is a little more delicate. The Arc Haul, this is actually a Dyneema composite material, and it's a little harder. So, but still, I made a lot of attempts to take care of my pack and to be as gentle on it as I could. But it's a through hike, and it's a through hike, and it's rough. When you've got to throw your pack up, especially like the Mahoosuc Notch, when you got to throw your pack around, and I'll be honest, it was through the Whites and the 100-mile wilderness where this pack got beat up the most. But you have to do those things. You don't have a choice. So, so the durability of the pack it's okay. But it's the pieces parts, the horizontal stays, the things like that all broke, that really had me frustrated, at the end of my hike. So let me think of what else. The mesh backing. The mesh backing, it's got some holes in it, but I take responsibility for that. That was because the things that I had stuffed in here had corners and edges on it, and then it would brush against something and it would get a hole. So that's not too awful bad. As far as the claim that this pack is waterproof, it's absolutely not waterproof. Zpacks claims that it's highly water resistant. I did not find that to be the case with my pack. Every time it rained, I had water pooling in the bottom of the pack, and that was from day one. That wasn't something that developed over time. That was from the very beginning. So it wasn't a huge problem for me, because even from day one, I had a trash compactor bag inside here as a pack liner, and then everything else was in dry bags. So, nothing ever got wet because of it. But, it just was not, it was not very waterproof. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to put this down for a second, and then we're going to we're going to go over the accessories that I put on my pack. Let's go over this one first. This is a lumbar pad. It's not necessary, and to be honest, it didn't do anything for me. And actually, it became an annoyance after a while because it rolled up on me. That's just, Zpacks says you don't need it. I bought it just because, I thought I wanted some more comfort. It's not necessary, and I don't recommend getting a lumbar pad unless your belt is too big for you and you've got, and things like that. But I don't recommend it. Not necessary. Zpacks pack is comfortable enough. Okay, so the hip pockets. When I first got these, man, I loved them. They're very large. They're very big bags. They hold a ton of stuff. But the chief complaint, and the only complaint I have about them, is you cannot use these with one hand. So while you're hiking and you need to get something out of this pack, like maybe you're keeping your snacks or something in here, you can't do it. You can't do it on the fly. So you have to stop, put your trekking poles down, use two hands to pull and open them up, because the zipper is so tight that you just can't get them open. Now I get that I get why that is, because it's a waterproof zipper, and I fully understand that, and that's great that it's waterproof, and really that's probably something you need it to be. But it makes it so difficult to operate. This one actually, one of the zipper pulls actually came off. So I don't recommend these, even though they're big. They're a hassle on the trail. They don't do you any good as far as holding things, snacks, and things that you have to get to often on the trail, because you have to stop every time, put your trekking poles down, use a hand, and pull them over. So what I tried to do to fix that, I actually lubricated this zipper with some wax, and I sat there and tried to work it, work them, hopefully maybe that it was just because they were newer and that it just would take some time to wear them in, but it never worked. So I ended up, when I came home in Pennsylvania when I got hurt, I ended up just taking them off because they held no use for me. I couldn't use them. They were more of a frustration than anything else. The other thing you'll notice in the beginning, I had a shoulder pouch. I didn't have any complaints about the shoulder pouch. I just didn't find it useful. It didn't do anything for me. It didn't really hold anything. It's a good piece of gear. It's designed well, but I took it off because it didn't do me any good. It didn't work with how I hiked. The aqua clip. I liked the aqua clip for the whole first 3 weeks, and then it broke. So again, I just really had a problem with durability with Zpacks gear. And that's my kind of chief complaint. And they will tell you that it's Cuban fiber. It's not as durable, or it's Dyneema. It's not as durable. And I understood that. And to be honest, I never had a single problem with the Dyneema. I never had a single problem with wearing a hole in the Dyneema or any of those things. It was all the additional accoutrements, the straps. So my biggest complaint is the straps. So let me kind of see what else I can go over. Okay, now that I've beat up this pack, I do want to go over. There's some good things about this pack. There's some very good things about the pack. I love the roll top closure on this bag. I love how big it is. This pack holds a ton of gear. It really does. I never had an issue even with a full food bag, like going into the 100-mile wilderness where I was carrying 6.5 days of food. I never had a problem fitting anything in my pack. So I do like the space on the interior of it. Again, I didn't have any problem with the Dyneema fabric, except maybe the fact that it wasn't as waterproof as they claimed, or water resistant as they claimed. The mesh was a little delicate, but I knew that was going to happen, and that's any pack. So I don't have any real complaints about the holes that I put in it, because those were kind of my fault. You see with the Dyneema, this is where my pack got the most wear, is on the bottom, and there's no holes, there's no rips, there's nothing there. So I do like that. So as far as the waterproofness, I know somebody told me that, well, it's this drink tube part. But that's not the case in mine, because I actually took some tenacious tape and then some Cuban fiber repair tape, and I closed up that hole from the inside. So it wasn't that. Okay, so let's get to, I think I've answered all the questions about my pack, the problems that I had with it, the things I loved about it and the things I didn't love about it. The question is, would I ever buy this pack again? I don't know. I'm back and forth. Some days I'm like, no way. Some days I'm like, well, it had its pluses. If they fix these issues, then it would be good. But the biggest factor for me is Zpacks customer service. All right. So I'm going to put this down, and then we're going to go over that. This is where, in my opinion, Zpacks fails as a company. I own a business as well. So I understand that customer service is one of the most paramount things in any industry. How you handle your customers' complaints is the difference between a happy customer and an unhappy customer, even if the product is horrible. So that's my big issue with Zpacks, is their customer service is unresponsive, if that makes sense. Their issue is that the only way to get a hold of them is through email, and that is extremely difficult when you're actually doing a through hike. And in my opinion, this gear, they tout it for being for through hikers. That's what it's for. But being able to contact them at short notice and to get things resolved is very difficult through email when you're out on the trail, because you don't always have service and things like that. You don't always have Wi-Fi and things like that. Now, I won't say that it took them forever to get back to me, because it didn't. They got back to me quickly. But kind of here's my complaint. I'll see if I can hold this up. I spent well over a week crafting a letter in an email to Zpacks, outlining the issues that I had with my pack, outlining the troubles I had with my gear, where they failed. I included pictures. So I really felt I did a very well thought out email. Here's the 2 pages of emails that I sent to them. Here's some of the pictures that I sent to them. But you'll notice down here, this was their response to my email. Just 2 sentences. Hello, thanks for reaching back out. My apologies for the issue with the webbing on your pack. I have arranged for new webbing to be sent to you. You can swap it out with your current webbing. If you have any additional concerns, please do not hesitate to contact us. So what that tells me is they didn't read my email because I didn't just talk about my pack. I talked about a bunch of other things that they didn't address. I get it, they're busy, but customer service is one of the most important parts of a business, and they should devote more effort and more people to it. The fact that they didn't even read my email. I ended up having to send back 4 or 5 more emails saying you didn't read everything. I need to get these other things taken care of. What about this question? What about that question? And finally, I guess I did get everything resolved, or at least I got it resolved as much as they're going to resolve it. So I'm going to cut away here because I have a clip of me opening the package that they sent me. And I think it's going to be pretty apparent, the frustration in my voice. So kind of take that for what it's worth. So I'm going to cut away now and show you that video. So this is part of my gear review. I wanted to give Zpacks a chance. I sent long email chains back and forth to them, and they said, no problem, we'll take care of it, we'll send you new webbing. Well, this is what they sent me. So this is to replace the horizontal stay that broke. It's not the right one. And this is what they sent me. Just some miscellaneous webbing. I don't even know what to do with this. I don't even know what this would even possibly do. I don't even know what, there's nothing that this could possibly help with. Unless I sewed my pack up, unless I, did all of that. So, needless to say, I'm very disappointed. I felt like I gave them a fair shake to correct the problems, and this does not correct it. So I'm going to do my overall review of my pack, and like I said, I just wanted to give Zpacks a chance to kind of make things right, and they absolutely did not. So okay, my next video will kind of be going over my pack. Okay, so I think that clip kind of stands on its own, speaks for itself, how frustrated I was. This is what they sent me. I used a couple of them, in the spots where I could, but, the ones that I could replace with these were never any part of the problem. So it was pretty frustrating. Again, customer service just was very lacking from Zpacks, and I'm disappointed in that because I've heard, stories about how good their customer service was. So I'm frustrated by that. As far as Zpacks gear, the only thing that survived my through hike unscathed, I guess, would be my food bag. So I think, in my opinion, that's not necessarily a Zpacks issue. That's a Cuban fiber Dyneema fiber issue. It's just not as durable for the standard hiker like me, who not so much rough, but maybe just a little bit rough on their gear. My 2 stuff sacks failed, and one of them just split completely out at the seam. That was the one that I had my quilt in. So I don't know if just stuffing that in there every day caused that seam to burst, which is what I think. And then the other one just wore a hole in it. I had to, I tried to use duct tape and things like that. Finally, I just threw it away. I threw both of them away. My tent bag for my duplex, I ended up having to replace it in Daleville because it was completely worn out. That, you know, that thing is, that stuff sack for the duplex 10 is so thin that I kind of expected that to happen. So not really upset about that. I replaced it in Daleville, and the one that I have now is still in good shape. It's good enough shape for my tent. So, you know, I was a huge Zpacks fan before I left on my thru hike. You know, I watched Redbeard's videos, and Redbeard actually sent me an email once when I bought some gear, you know, so I was excited about that. And, you know, I was really happy with how quickly they got my gear to me. I was lucky. You know, I ordered my duplex and my tent, and I got it within 5 days. So, you know, so I was really excited about Zpacks gear, but as my thru hike went on, my love affair with Zpacks became strained. You know, so, but in Zpacks' defense, I did not ever contact them while I was on the trail because, you know, I pretty much knew, talking with other hikers and things who had problems with their Zpacks Arcall, and I talked to a lot of people who had problems with it. Zpacks just wanted you to send it back to them. Send it back to us, and we'll evaluate it and see what we're going to do. Well, I don't know how you can do that on a thru hike. You know, I really, really don't. I don't know how you can send your backpack out and, you know, what am I supposed to do? Sit and wait for weeks, you know, for it to come in? Now, listen, I get it. They can't just be sending brand new packs to everybody all the time. I completely understand that. So to a degree, like I said, I own a business too. And I understand that you can't give everything away for free. You know, you have to make a living. You have to make a profit in your company. You know, but in my opinion, the few times where you would have to send, you know, a free pack or a loaner pack to somebody would probably be pretty minimal. And the goodwill that you would earn from doing that would be amazing. Because I didn't hear any good stories on the trail the whole time I was out there about Zpacks customer service. You know, I didn't. You know, everybody kind of had some of the similar stories. Now, you take some of them with a grain of salt. Some people are more difficult to deal with than others. You know, and some people are more difficult to please. I don't feel I'm one of those people. You know, I really don't. I just felt that I spent a long time and typed up a well thought out, reasoned email and sent that to them, and to get a 2-sentence reply was just kind of frustrating to me. You know, so, and then again, but in Zpacks' defense, I guess they reached out to me in April because one of my subscribers had mentioned to him that I was having a problem. So they reached out to me in April, but it was my work email that they have, and I was not checking that while I was out there. So, so I never got that. So I guess, you know, they did try to reach out to me, but again, I don't know what they would have done if this was their fix, to send me some miscellaneous straps. You know, that wouldn't have done me any good. So, you know, again, do I recommend Zpacks gear? It depends. It depends. You know, if weight is your only consideration, and you can be, you know, a little bit more delicate with your gear, then yeah, I mean, the Zpacks Arcall would be a good pack for you. Again, there's things I do like about it, and really the issues I had all revolved around the webbing. The webbing for the arc suspension system and the load lifters. But those are the two most important pieces. So, you know, would I recommend the Zpacks Arcall to somebody? It would depend on the person, I guess, like I said. You know, but overall, I don't think there's many people who I would recommend the Arcall to, unfortunately. So Zpacks, that I bought my pack in 2017. Zpacks may have very well fixed this issue, but it's a question you need to ask them before you order a pack. Have you specifically fixed the issues with the webbing and the straps slipping on your packs? If they tell you yes, I would ask how they did that. You know, if it's just changing out this webbing doesn't look any different than the webbing I have. So, but maybe they had a bad batch. You know, but in my opinion, if they had a bad batch and they had a bad product that they knew was a problem, then I think they should be responsible to replace them, to replace those packs. So, to all those who say something. So, again, I'm not into trying to get anything free, Okay, I'm gonna go over the rest of my Zpacks gear. I think I've covered the dry bags and things like that, but I'm still gonna do a review of my duplex tent. So look for that in the near future. Again, if you have questions, put them in the comments down below, and I'll do my best to get to them and answer them. But that's all I have for now. Out here.